I am live, and I am going to give everybody a minute to get on live with me. Let me share this on my page to make sure that we get everybody on. Thank you guys that are joining. I'm going to make sure that I share this. Thank you guys that are joining. I just added this to the My Relationship Movement page, so hopefully we have some more people that will be joining us. I am going to give everybody a second to log on with me and join us live. I'm very excited about today. Let's see. Thank you guys. Hey, Lawana, thank you guys that are joining. I see you guys. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining me on today. I'm going to give everybody just a minute to jump on with me. I am very excited. We're going to be dealing with a very touchy issue today. And so those of you all that are joining, if you will invite somebody, share this on your page, tag a friend. As many people, I know that this is a work day and a lot of people might be at work, or maybe there are some people on their lunch break. But if you will do me a favor, because they can watch the replay, if you will share this on your page or tag somebody, they can watch it later. Hi, Barbara. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. I'm making sure that we are live on my pages. Thank you. I see some more of you all joining. Thank you so much. Be sure to share when you get on. I appreciate it. Thank you guys that are sharing. There we go. I see it. Alrighty, as people are coming on, I know that I have acquired a whole lot of new followers over the last year, over the last few months. And so I want to take a second to introduce myself once again. Those that don't know me, I'm Elisa, LaShell, the empowerment specialist. And part of my job is I like to empower any of us that have ever felt bound in something, whether we feel bound mentally or emotionally. I just try to find ways to affirm, to loose us, to get us out of those things that always cause us to feel bound up and not get free. And so through my own experiences, through my personal testimony, through words of revelation and insight, my joy and my privilege and my honor and just what I love to do is just to help get people free through the things that I am able to share with others. And so today I wanted to touch on a subject that I know affects a lot of people, and I really wanted to get into this. It's one of those issues that people don't really like to talk about because it's a little sensitive, and I'm sure that before this live segment is over, you know, somebody might end up being all in their feelings, and they're going to feel happy, they're going to feel vindicated, but they might get a little uncomfortable. But it's because this is not a comfortable subject. But, you know, I wanted to be one that decided, listen, I'm going to take this subject on because it is something that is affecting a lot of people. There are a lot of families that are affected by this, and God knows there are a lot of children that are affected by this. Thank you, Shanika, so much. I appreciate those words. Thank you for joining. And those of you all that are coming on, if you will share this video, it's important to share it, not because of me wanting to make an impression, but there are so many absent fathers that want to hear or need to hear a word, not that just a word that will make them feel even worse for being absent, but something that actually might arrest their minds and say, listen, here's a reason I can do better. And so I wanted to take this time not just to vindicate the single mothers, but also to encourage the single fathers, because the absent father is a dilemma. And I wanted to take this on. And so again, I encourage you all that are coming on, share it. I'm sure you know single mothers that could use a word of affirmation and use a word of support. But then there are a lot of fathers that could use a word to kind of inspire them or to give them a reason to do better. And so, like I said, today it's probably going to be a little bit uncomfortable as we're talking about this subject, but it's one that I personally feel equipped to talk about. I'll tell you why. Number one, I have dealt with being a single parent. A lot of times people talk about things and they have no idea what they're talking about. They don't have a basis for it. But I can tell you from personal experience, I've dealt with having a son that never met his dad and had an identity crisis. I've dealt with getting pregnant out of wedlock and having the dilemma of what in the world to do now. How do I deal with this alone? I've dealt with being married with children and having children and then getting divorced and having to raise those children by myself. I've even dealt with being remarried, and now we have a blended family that it's some issues that can get called out in that. And so every arena, as it has to do with parenthood, I can guarantee you I've just about had to deal with it. And so what I want to do is take my experiences and hopefully empower us today to give a little encouragement to those mothers, those single parents that have had to deal with this, to let you know that somebody has been there and has seen it, has done it, and has done it successfully, and can talk about here is how we overcome it. And also, I also want to appeal to the absent fathers that may be watching, and as this video starts to get shared, and my prayer is that some absent fathers actually get a chance to watch this video. It's not what you think. I'm not here to bash or to make you feel bad or to condemn, but what I am here to do is give you some real talk. I'm kind of no holds barred, and so I'm going to be on both sides of the fence. You're going to hear me talking to the single ladies and defending them, but then you're going to hear me making a case for the absent fathers as well. And so everybody that is coming on, if you will, share this. There are so many of our friends or our family members, people we know if it's not us, that deal with the issue of raising children without a father in the home. And this, again, issue is personally something that I feel very strongly about. So share this message and get it out. Let me start by saying this. Absent fathers create dilemmas. I'm going to make a case, like I said, for both sides. And again, I'm going to make you feel affirmed, but I'm probably going to make you a little uncomfortable. A dilemma, as I said before, is something that it causes issues. You're saying, wait a minute, this is creating something for me. This is a dilemma. I don't know what to do. An absent father creates a dilemma because it's a difficult situation and it's a perplexing situation. Why is absent fathers a dilemma? Why is it perplexing? Well, I'm going to talk about it. The first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to talk about this issue from a single parent mother's point of view. I'm going to talk about why the absent father is a dilemma. First of all, as a single mother, and like I said, I have been a single mother. Over 15 years, I've had to raise children without their biological father. And so I can speak from this. The reason this is a dilemma is because single mothers that are raising their children without the father, have a lot of questions that are being asked by their children that's perplexing, and it causes a dilemma. And I wrote some of these questions down because a lot of times the absent fathers don't know that these questions are being asked, and these mothers, we don't know how to answer them. We don't know what to say. They ask questions like, why doesn't my daddy come to see me? Why can't I stay with my daddy sometimes? Is daddy mad at me? Is he mad at you? They might ask, does he love me anymore? They might ask, Mama, did you do something to make my daddy leave? They might ask, is he ever coming back? I'm talking about questions that single moms, this is the dilemma, have to face when they're trying to raise children and the father is not in the home. Fathers, I want you to hear, these are questions that your children are asking that moms sometimes don't have an answer to. Is it okay for me to be mad at my daddy? Is it okay for me to hate him for leaving? Is it okay, or will you be mad at me if I know how he did you and I still love him? This is a perplexing situation because parents, mothers, we don't know how to answer this. Do I have to choose between you and my daddy? These are questions that mothers don't know sometimes how to answer for absent fathers. Is he ashamed of me? They don't know. These children want to know, is my daddy ashamed of me? Is that why he's not coming around? Did I do something wrong? These are the children that are left in this dilemma that have these questions. And do you know the biggest thing that children question when there is an absent father in the home and mothers don't know what to do to answer this? Children will ask themselves, because there's an absent father, is there something wrong with me? Now let me tell you, that's the dilemma. The dilemma is when a father is absent, regardless of who is at fault, it doesn't matter. A lot of times we want to say, well, the mom made me leave, and see, that baby just don't know what happened between me and their mom. It does not matter. When the father is missing out of that child's life, that child begins to internalize these issues, and they think to themselves, there must be something wrong with me because my daddy isn't here. Does he not love me? Do I have to choose between you and my mom? And when a child feels like there's something wrong with me, can I tell you the other issues that come? That child starts having low self-esteem. They start feeling damaged. Their perception of who they are is damaged. They start dealing with depression. They start having guilt because they feel like they did something wrong to make their father leave. Now they're dealing with shame because they're thinking about, well, my friends have their mom and dad in their house. I don't have mine. Then it turns into anger. They are angry. Why did my daddy leave? What did my mama do to get rid of my daddy? I'm angry. And then the last thing that they have is resentment. They don't know who to feel some kind of way with because they're just in the middle of this. Single mothers have a dilemma. The absent father is a dilemma. Now, my disclaimer is, of course, we know that there are some dads that are trying and there are some moms that are holding up. We're going to get to all of that. But I wanted to start off by saying that a big dilemma with all of this is the children that are asking these questions about, I don't know why daddy isn't here. I don't know why I can't stay with him. I don't know why he doesn't love me because this is what I think. And fathers, you need to know that these children are grappling with these questions that they do not understand. Most times, what's perplexing, what's difficult is that the mother cannot answer these questions. We don't know the answer to these questions, and it's frustrating to us. Now you see the second dilemma that comes up. The next dilemma is, how do single mothers that are present try to maintain their integrity when they try to address these questions that these children have? Now, the questions that these children are asking are legitimate. These kids have every right to wonder about why their father isn't there, if their father loves them, did they do something wrong? The children have every right to ask these questions, but the single moms, they don't know how to handle this. They're saying to themselves, how do I keep my integrity intact and address these questions that my children have without exposing the absent father? I know it's easy to say that woman just want to make me feel bad in front of my children, but not all women feel like that. Some women, we are perplexed and we are confused about how do we answer our children? How do we say to them, is something wrong with me because my daddy does he want me? And we're thinking, how do I address my child without making this man look bad? Because at some point I want my children to go with him, but if I tell them what I know, I'm going to hurt their feelings. I'm going to expose this man. And so this is a dilemma because the absentee father is not there to answer for himself. And now the mom is left saying, how do I address my children? How do I do that? A lot of single mothers get a bad rap because they're bitter, because they have a no-nonsense attitude. They don't put up with a lot of bull. They have an intolerance for that. They refuse to let their children be handled with inconsistency. I have been guilty of that. I've said to myself, you know what? Before you run in and out of these children's lives, that's okay. Stay where you are until you can get your act together. Then you come back. But listen, sometimes you wonder, can I really blame them? Because, let me tell you, and I'm speaking to single fathers as well, because a lot of times these single mothers aren't able to articulate how they really feel because they're caught up in their feelings. They're caught up in their emotions. They can't really sit down and say this. And so I'm making an appeal, not just for the single mothers, but to you single fathers. Listen, can you sometimes blame these mothers for being angry and resentful and bitter? Because you know what they're sitting around saying? I didn't make these children by myself. I'm the one coming out of pocket for these children every time they need something. I'm the one losing sleep. I'm the one trying to not just make sure that they have what they need. I'm trying to give them what they want. I'm the one that does not ever get a break. I can't go out and do what I want to do because I have children. I'm the one on call 24/7. I don't have anybody to take my shift for me. I've got to get this shift. I've got to work day shift, night shift. I've got to be on call. And so a lot of times it translates into a dilemma for these mothers because they do not know what to do. Absent fathers create dilemmas. Now, I told you I was going to get on both sides of the fence here. I'm not just going to advocate for the mothers. I'm also going to say, mothers, here are some things that we have to know too. Single mothers, we are still obligated to handle this dilemma with integrity. Now, I know that's not easy to do, but listen, I talk a lot of times about taking the high road. There is a way to handle these issues and to respond to absent fathers without taking down, without being spiteful. And I'm going to share a couple of things. Single parents, single mothers, even when you have an absentee father, I'm going to tell you there are some things you just don't do. Number one, you do not use your children to hurt the father. If you have an issue with that man, you do not drag your children into your issue with that man and make them in the middle of a war. Do not use your children, because let me tell you what you're doing. Let me give you a demonstration. It's almost like there are people that are shooting at each other, and you take that child and you put them up as a shield because this is what I'm going to use. And when those bullets come, they're missing you, but they're hitting the children. So you do not, as single parents, even in dealing with the absent father dilemma, you do not use your children to hurt the father. Number two, you do not use other men as sugar daddies to compensate for the money you feel like you should be getting from the absentee father. This creates a dilemma. I know a lot of times single moms are saying, listen, but if I had child support and if he was paying like he was supposed to, I would be able to do what I need to do. That is still not a reason to take down your integrity and go and get these men that you have no intention of getting into a relationship with just because you need somebody to lay with you at night, just because you need a couple of dollars. Baby got picture day tomorrow, so let me see what man I can find and manipulate to get some money in my pocket. Single mothers, we still have to have integrity as we are raising these children with a father that is absent, because believe it or not, everything that you are doing, the way that you are raising your children, they are watching. You might think they're too young to know, you might think they don't see, but they see it. Listen, the other thing that you cannot do, you don't pass your children off to your mom or your grandmother to raise so that you can still be free. Single moms, yes, I know it is not fair that you have to be the one to sacrifice for these children, that you have to be the one that stays put. Don't get me wrong, we all need a break, and we're all grateful when our parents can come in and take the kids away to give us a break. But we do not manipulate mothers. We do not manipulate our mothers, our grandmothers, the people, our aunts, the people that come in to help us. We do not manipulate people and make it feel like it is their responsibility to take care of our children. Single mothers, we have to have integrity. Those are our children. We are responsible for raising them. There are some things that we can teach them that if we're always passing them off to our mom and our grandmother, we do not have the responsibility of instilling in them the things that we need for them to have. The other thing, single mothers, that we do not do, because we have to be women of integrity, is we do not badmouth the father to those children. We do not speak bad of him. We let his actions speak for themselves and let those children figure that out. But they do not need us to add extra things. They weren't in our relationship. They don't know what happened and what he did and what he might not have went, whatever happened. We don't have to add. They have enough as children dealing with the absent father dilemma that we don't have to pile on our own issues, what we were hurt about, what we were mad about, onto those children and create more things. And then here's another one. Single moms, you have to have integrity when you're trying to raise these children without their father. You do not withhold affection from your children because you're mad at that man. You do not, because parents will do that. Mothers will be mad at that man. We'll look at those children and say, oh, he's just like his daddy. Oh, that girl acts just like her daddy with that mouth. And then we'll withhold our affection because all we're thinking about is, yeah, when I loved him like that, he left. We do not withhold our affection affection from our children because of what we experienced with that absent father. And last, what we do not do, single moms that are raising their children with absent fathers, we do not base our standard of living on the support that we live off of from those men. Now, let me make that clear. There are women that get child support. I get it. But let me tell you what you don't do as a woman of integrity. You don't base your whole life off of what that man will or will not give you. I'm not going to find a job. I'm not going to do anything extra. I'm just going to live off of what he's supposed to pay. And then you wonder when your children are being neglected because you're trying to base your whole life off of this little bitty income. And now do you know what you're going to spend your time doing? Seeing if he got something new. Seeing if he got a raise. Did he get a new job? What is he doing? Because if it looked like somebody else got something, what about me? What did I? If you use your whole basis of living off of what somebody else is doing, you will be consumed with that man's income, with that man's business, with what he's doing, and you will not put in the time and the effort that you need to deal with yourself and your own children. Those are things, single mothers, that we do to keep our integrity. Now, I'm aware that I am rubbing some people the wrong way. But I told you on this, I'm going to tell you about both sides of the fence. I've been on each side, and so I'm going to speak. But men, let me tell you something. What do you expect from these mothers that are having to raise your children by themselves? Why do you think they have an attitude? Let me tell you something, and I'm talking to the men, and as you guys are coming on, I hope you guys are sharing this on your page, because there are men that need to hear this message, and there are single mothers that need somebody to tell them this. So if you haven't already, take a second and share this. Now, I just talked about things that women don't do if you have integrity and you're trying to raise these children along with the absent father. There are some things you don't do. If you just came on, you should watch the recap. But now, men, let me tell you something. What do you expect from these mothers that are having to raise these children by themselves? It's not their responsibility to make you look good to your own children when you're behaving out of spite, when you're behaving out of neglect, and when you're behaving out of anger. They are not your personal campaign. They don't jump up and say, Team Dad, I need to just make him look good so my children don't look at him wrong. That is not their responsibility. They're already taking the role of having to raise these children, having to protect these children, having to finance these children. What they do not have to do is come back and make you look good when your actions are clearly speaking for yourself. The other thing is, how do you think they're supposed to feel when you're running around with a new car, when you're running around with new clothes, when you have a new job and they are struggling to make ends meet with their children? They're trying to figure out, did I get enough school clothes? I don't want my child going to school being embarrassed because I don't have the money to get them the latest name brands. I need to just make sure they have enough school supplies. I need to make sure I got enough gas in my car to get my child where they need to go. How do you think these single mothers are supposed to feel when they look on Facebook and they see you posted up with a new ride, or when somebody tell them, yeah, I saw your son's dad, he looked like he just got a new job, he just got a promotion, and they're sitting over there saying a promotion, and I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to pay her dues for DECA. What? Man, what do you think these women are over here thinking? What do you expect them to feel when you're parading your new family around? How do you think these women are supposed to feel when you're posted up with your new boo, with your new fiance, you've got remarried, you're taking care of her children, the new woman's children, when your own children with her haven't seen you in 6 months? Men, how do you expect these women to feel? What do you think they're going to think? There has to be some kind of consciousness about what's going on in the minds of people when we're doing things. How can women respect you or take you seriously? It's a dilemma. Now, there's another side to this, and ladies, this is not an excuse for the men, but I also said that I'm going to address these things. Some of the reason why these men and these fathers are absent, because they are ashamed. Now, I'm going to tell you, it is not likely that you will find an absent father that's going to stand up and say, I'm an absent father and I'm ashamed. You're not going to find many men that are going to say that. So I'm going to speak, ladies. I just gave you guys a hard time about some stuff. And guys, I've given you a hard time. But I got to play both sides of the fence. There are some men that are absent because they're ashamed. Yeah, it started off that y'all had a bad breakup, a bad divorce, or you just were sleeping around, messed around, got pregnant, and it wasn't even a relationship. But somewhere it got out of hand. Somewhere they stayed alone, away one day, and then it turned into 2 days, and before they knew it, they were out of those children's lives. And now they're ashamed. They're ashamed that they've been negligent. They're ashamed that they've been away for so long. They're ashamed because they really don't have a valid excuse about why they've been gone. They're ashamed because they don't even have anything to show for all the time they've been away from those children. They're ashamed because their living situation hasn't ever gotten any better. They don't have any money. They don't have a good job. They don't have a car. They're living with their mom. They're not in a good financial state, and they are ashamed. They're ashamed that they moved on and didn't include their children in their lives. They're ashamed that their children are doing well. See, mothers, we don't think about this sometimes, but a lot of times we're so caught up in making sure our children make it when we're single parents, making sure they have what they need, that somewhere there's an absent father that's looking and saying, wow, look at what she did with my son. Wow, look at what she did with my daughter, and she did it without my help. They're ashamed because they're seeing their children be somebody and they don't have any role in it. They can't take any credit. They're ashamed that they still aren't in a good place. They're ashamed. And when a man is ashamed, ladies, let me tell you, it's a hard road for them to get back to you. I know a lot of times we want to say, those doggone low down men, but some men deal with shame and they don't know how to come back and say to those children that I said at the beginning of this segment that are asking their moms, does daddy not love me? Is he mad? Did I do something wrong? Is he not pleased with me? Do I make him ashamed? Those men are ashamed that they stayed away for so long, that they don't have anything. They're ashamed because they know you need child support, but they still aren't in a good financial situation to give you that money. So they're ashamed. They're staying away because they're embarrassed that they're not there. And so sometimes mothers, we're guilty because we're so angry about what all we have to do. We're so bitter because we're making ends meet that we don't understand that they are ashamed. And it's not about us. It's not that they don't know how to face us. They can deal with us. They can hear our loud talking. It's those children that they don't know how to come back to and say, I'm sorry. It's those children that they don't know how to come back to and say, I messed up. It's those children that they don't know how to say, yeah, I have another child I'm taking care of, and I don't know why I'm not taking care of you. The children are the ones that are suffering. Now, I'm going to end this by saying, how can I, as a single mother, respond without resentment? Let me tell you, the first thing that you do, mothers, single moms, you give yourself a reality check. Nobody forced you or coerced you to lay down with that man, get pregnant, and have those babies. I don't care how mad we want to be with these absent fathers. I don't care how bitter and how angry and how irritated we want to be about them. At the end of the day, the reality check is nobody made me sleep with that man, have unprotected sex, and wind up pregnant with those children. Now, nobody made me do, especially if you're a repeat offender and you got more than one child. Nobody made me do that. When we get a reality check, we'll start taking accountability for some of these decisions and for some of that. We won't give that man. We'll shoulder some of the responsibility. Secondly, at some point, we have to remember that you did love that man. You did like that man. You were attracted to that man. You did want him. At some point, for you to go all the way that far to have those children, there was something good about that man. Sometimes what will help us, balance us, is that we remember that there are some good qualities in those men. And we can't go so far and say, I just hate him. I can't stand it. At some point, sweetie, you used to love him. Thirdly, regardless of how awful that man may be, you better remember that 23 of his chromosomes reside in your children. Half of everything going on in them, whether you can see it up front or not, comes from that man. And so for you to hate him, for you to be disgusted by him, for you to hate his guts and don't want him, means that there's something in your children that you hate and that you're disgusted with and that you don't want. So somewhere you have to say, whoa, wait a minute. I don't want to hate my children. I don't want to dislike my children. I don't want to reject my children. So what I better do is find a way to not hate this man, to not be resentful to this man, so that I won't withhold love and affection from my children, because I don't care how good a job we're doing as a parent, single mothers, half of what's in those children come from that man. And for us to hate him means that there's something in our children we may wind up hating, and that's a dangerous place to be. Next, somebody has to be an example of resilience, of grace, of strength, and for favor. How can I show favor? How can I show resilience to my children that you can still make it if I'm walking around bitter, being petty, being spiteful, being hurt? What am I teaching my children about how to respond when life doesn't turn out like they want it to? What am I showing them about what you do as a woman of integrity when times get rough, when the story didn't play out the way you wanted it to play out? And last but not least, the truth of the matter is, and I got to end this on the biblical scripture, all of us have sinned and fell short. But the Bible talks about blessed are the merciful because they'll obtain mercy. I know it is not easy. This is a woman talking from experience to sit and say, I forgive this man, or I understand, because a lot of times we don't understand. But at some point, we've got to understand that forgiveness is freedom and that we have to be free in order to raise our children the way that we should raise them. Those of you all that joined me, that shared, thank you guys so much. This, like I said, is an issue that is very deep and dear to me. If you know of some fathers that could use a dose of encouragement, that needs to hear what's going on in their children's mind, that needs to hear, if you can articulate to that man, to your ex-husband, to your child's father, the things that the dilemma that's created when they're absent, share this video with somebody. Like I said, I don't want to make an impression. I want to make an impact, because some child is hanging in the balance because of the missing and the absent father dilemma. I'm Elisa LaShell. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time.